Okay, hi, this is our monthly get-together and catch-up for all the members and people who are doing the healing courses. So I know some of you will be catching up later, so we're going to record it. So we're pressing on now. We've just starting. So, hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Hi, Steve. I know Siobhan's going to be here just now. She says she might be a bit late. And Toshio said he would join us, but hasn't arrived yet. Anyway, we'll press on with any questions you have. I've got a couple of things to start us off. And one of the things I wanted to mention today was the importance of protection. And I can't emphasize this enough. And it's not about fear, it's about protecting your energy. One of our guys, Woody, who was here last time, I think, or one of the times when we got together, he was rushed to hospital with what they thought was pancreatitis. But actually, they couldn't find anything wrong with him, and the pain was so severe. Of course, it's all in that solar plexus area, and I got William to do a clearing for him, and William said because just before he got really ill, he'd done a big Reiki healing for somebody, and so I think, well, Woody and I both thought it could well be some form of result of doing the healing. And obviously the person he was working on had got something attached that then attacked him. And that is the most common problem of getting a severe attack. That's what's happened to me in the past. And I think I haven't spoken to him about it, but I get the feeling that it might well have been, maybe he's a bit tired, got other things on his mind, a bit run down, and any of those things make it much more vulnerable. So I just wanted to say that never do the healing when you're really tired. Never think, oh, this person's asking me, begging me to do something. But if you're feeling, maybe not for you too, but if somebody's had a couple of drinks, or they're feeling worried or stressed about something in their life, then, and that feeling of being a bit overwhelmed, like, oh, all right, then I'll do it, but you're having to pull yourself up to do it. And everybody's got a different tolerance level of how much healing they can do before they start to feel tired. When I was younger, I could go at it all day, no problem. But now I can't do more than 3 or 4 days on the trot, and I can't really don't want to take on more than 4 cases, because the cases I've got so much energy that needs to be done and cleared that it's a lot more tiring than we realize. Just doing the work can make it tough. You're listening to other people's emotional problems, so you're empathizing, so your feelings are engaged. Even though we don't take on people's problems, you get involved in them. So this is why the symbols are so good. The sort of healing I do now, probably a bit more counseling involved as well as healing, whereas when you use the symbols, you're just allowing the energy to flow through you, and you don't actually get so involved. I know Sally, who started my whole work for me those years ago, soon after I got to know her, she got a strong message that she should only ever do distance healing. and that was because the energies were so strong that it was better for her and just as effective for the person. She does a lot of work for physical problems, and because a physical problem doesn't necessarily require a big discussion and a big debate about the relationship that was, that's going on in the person's life. It doesn't actually have such a negative effect on the person. So I just wanted to share that with you all, just to make sure that you never do any healing without putting your protection on, and never do it when you're tired or stressed, really stressed out. Although a lot of people have to do it for a living, they have to push through sometimes, you have to be very, very careful. But you never know what your next client's going to bring through the door. I'm finding it a lot easier to do my work through Zoom, and I'm not going to come back to doing it in the house at all, because then energetically it's better for me that way, and in all respects. And one thing I thought we could focus on is the use of strength, because a lot of people need strength sent to them anyway. They're struggling, they're feeling vulnerable, or whatever the problem is. Sending them strength, it just feels a good thing to do, as well as healing per se, sending the love healing. So the two symbols that I think are really useful for that are the solar logos. The solar logos has a particularly powerful use when it's to do with fears and anxieties, because it goes straight for the solar plexus, and it's in the solar plexus that we hold our fears. So you can use it on yourself. If you're feeling a bit wobbly, you're feeling a bit vulnerable, feeling a bit nervous, this is the symbol to use. And it brings you in directly the spirit, energy spirit of the sun. Okay, it's like a beam of golden light that comes straight from the sun, into your solar plexus area, in the chakra. So you can use it for yourself when you're feeling a bit tired and a bit wobbly. And the other one you can use is more of a sort of a masculine energy, which is strength. Actually, it's called strength, and it's the masculine energy of the sun. It's a different vibe to this one, and it comes as a counterpart to the moon, which is the female energy. Either of those are very good for you when you're feeling a bit wobbly, and also you can use them on your clients when they need a bit of strength. I often feel I want to send people strength as well as love, especially if they're battling difficulties and they've got challenges in their life. There's a lot of that going on at the moment. So really those are the things, that's something I wanted just to start us off with, to make sure that you always do that. I had a really bad experience. I think I mentioned this before, but on the at the end of the day, I was asked to do a healing for somebody in Malaysia. Actually, I was in Kuala Lumpur, and this woman who'd been helping me, she introduced me onto the television and felt she'd done a lot of work for me, and she rang up and said, I'm under psychic attack, can you squeeze me in at the end of the day? And it was the last day I was in KL. I'd been there working, I'd been doing workshops, and then I'd been doing a lot of healing. So I was feeling a bit tired. And I think also my guard was down, because I thought, oh, I've got no more after this person. I dropped my guard, and then this other lady came in, and I think that was the problem. I didn't really vitalize my healing protection. And that night I was virtually paralyzed, and then I was vomiting and very sick, and that is always a sign that you've got toxic energy within you. So I called Sal and said, what's going on? And she said, well, you've been really, you've come across a really bad demon, and the demon has just whacked you with its virtually with tail as it leaves. Hi, Saran.
Hi, sorry to be late.
Oh, lovely to see you, darling. And we're talking about making sure you protect yourself always when you do healing, and using these two symbols as the ones that really give you the strength if you're feeling a bit wobbly and vulnerable, as well as protection. You use this. And I was saying what I was I was not. It was a nasty attack, and it left me virtually paralysed. I couldn't move. I just about staggered to the toilet, threw up all night, and in the morning I just didn't have the strength to even pack my suitcase, which is really unlike me. And my husband, who normally is the one is undoing his suitcase, he had to pack the suitcase, which was a real proof that I was in a bad place. And he just managed to get it to the airport. We were living in Hong Kong at the time, and he got me to Hong Kong. But I stuck in my mind as I was very tired. I'd let my guard down, and it was a very powerful demon. So all of which would have been okay if I'd put protection around properly at the right time. So after Woody's experience, I wanted just to reconfirm that to you. And to talk about distance healing, because it's a very powerful way of doing your work. And if you're not feeling like doing very much for somebody on a one-to-one, it can be extremely effective. And I think you're all members of our Pooh's healing group, aren't you? The Hearts and Hands healing. Are you all belong to Hearts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hands healing on. If you go on the internet on my website and look up the Hearts and Hands, or if you want to be a healer on the Hearts and Hands circuit, if you like, just send me your email address and say, can you add me? And I'll pass it on to our Pooh. Now, our Pooh, for over 20 odd years now, has been forwarding requests from people from all over the world to our healers list. So you just get a very brief description of the person and their problem, and then we just ask you to send healing to that person. And you don't have to do it for very long, it's just a few moments is all it needs.
Right.
I mean, the most powerful example I had of it working so effectively, and had a couple. One was a guy with a brain tumour in Kuala Lumpur who got up and walked out fit as a fiddle after 2 weeks. That was good. And the other one was when I had in a dentist chair in Hong Kong. My dentist asked me if I'd send healing to his brother-in-law who'd had it's the illness of the blood when you have to have the whole lot. What does he call it?
Leukemia, is it?
Yes, he had.
Leukemia.
Yeah, it is a really quite
Transfusion.
It's more than just.
Yeah.
It's quite a. Anyway, he'd had a massive illness, and he'd had this person had given him something to make. I can't remember what it is now. It's missed my mind, but. He was in ICU in critical condition in Seattle, and we were in Hong Kong, and the dentist asked me if I would send healing to him, and I just lay there with his name up. I saw his name in gold in letters. That was a very effective way of doing it, because I couldn't use hands or anything. And my mouth wide open.
Oh, that's quite a big ask, isn't it?
I wonder if this is going to work. And I just put his name in gold lights over me, and I just kept thinking of him being well. And anyway, the next day, I was only doing it for about 3 or 4 minutes, because you can't hold those things in your mind that very long. Not if you're just doing it by visualizing the person. If you're going to do a big distance healing, you've got to go through the words and go through the motions, otherwise you're going to fall asleep, aren't you? So it was only for a short time, but the next day his wife rang up and said, my brother, my husband said that you sent some healing to my brother yesterday. And I said, oh, I thought, God, what's she going to say? I thought she was going to be a born-again Christian and never go out there or something. But as it turned out, she said, we had such good news, and I wanted to thank you that he started to respond completely to all his medication and the antibiotics and everything, and he'd had an infection apparently, which was causing. And she said he was ICU, so all his vitals were being recorded and monitored. And she said, we checked it. The moment that it started to come right was the exact time when you were in the dentist chair with my husband. She said, as it was all put up on these machines, they actually had the time when he started to recover. Yeah, so that was exciting. So distance healing is a very good alternative if you're not in the position to do your healing any other way. And if you send me your email address, I'll add it. And anybody who's listening to this, send me your email address and I'll send it to Arpu. Arpu is in KL. I met him when I was living there. He'd had a very serious accident as a jockey, and it was broke his C4, I think it is, and he was paralysed. And his cousin had asked me to go visit and do some healing, and I became very friendly with Arpu. And he's like a family friend now. He's still paralysed. There's nothing can do, but he is in a hugely better position than he ever was. He is strong. He is strong character. He's strong mentally, spiritually strong. He's upbeat. He's always cheerful. He takes an interest in everything in life. He's got a lovely young carer who absolutely adores him and looks after him from Indonesia. And he wanted something to do, so I pay him every year. I give him a donation to run the Hearts and Hands distance healing. So when you want to send in a request for anybody you know, you send it to Arpu, and it's all on my website under Hearts and Hands Healing. And there's the place where you can put in the request. And if you want to be on the list, you can either send your email address to Arpu and say you want to be a healer, or you can send it to me and I'll forward it to him. Yeah, so it's a good thing to be doing. In fact, I was on holiday this week with my stepson, and he's not very well at the moment at all. But I suggested it might help him if he did some distance healing so that the energy flows through him. So I taught him the healing symbol, and I gave him my girlfriend's name who just got cancer, and he was doing that for her all the time. And he said it made him feel good that he'd done it, so nothing else. It lifted his spirits up, you know. Yeah.
That's a good point, and because that helps the person's own well-being by you're giving something out into society, so you get it back. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that Tony's problems are mental health issues, and I do think half the problem is when you are mentally ill and you do suffer from those things, you lose the confidence to get out and do things. But something like that you can do in the background, and at least gives you some self-worth.
That's it.
Yeah. So that was my contribution this morning, to talk to you about that. And if there's any,
because I could hear in your voice, saying you was a little bit under par, but now it's cleared. And
yes, I did a week's holiday. I just needed to get away from everybody.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's it.
I just needed that. Now I'm all full of vim and vigor again.
That's it. Well, on the note regarding the protection thing, I mean, it's the same as like our devices, our computers. We have anti-software protection for our devices, and there's viruses in the air, as you know, like the COVID and everything. And also the other thing about knowing what you're dealing with, because also you've got things like not just, I suppose you've got things like tricksters and things which can do things. And they can mess about as well. We don't always know their motives.
No, that's right.
But it's you know, like you get a scam email or a scam phone call or something. You think, oh, they're trying to get to, but you don't really know because you don't get to that. That's why you've got to protect. Coming back to protection again. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, you just got to be smart. I mean, you wouldn't go out into the middle of a city at night. with your purse hanging out, would you? I mean, you just wouldn't do it. You just always make sure that you look after yourself when you're out and about. And it's the same when you're working in the spirit world. You've just got to
Yeah.
be a bit smart, really.
That's it. Just it's at the end of the day, it's like when you know it's raining, you put a coat on. You know, protect yourself from the weather. It's keeping it simple.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what, as you know.
About it. Just want to be smart, really.
Well, just think, yeah, think it through. But because we get so preoccupied in sometimes, and we think, oh, I want to do this, I want to help someone, and next minute we're not even looking after ourselves. And these doctors and nurses are like this a lot of the time because they're walking around half hanging in there, aren't they?
You're right, absolutely right, and it's something I've learned, but it's taken me a long time to learn it. But
Yeah.
I do it now, and I balance my life very much with walking with the dogs every day. That gives me the fresh air, and that clears my energy, and eating well. Maybe too much, which I'm just saying to Zeta, just been on a holiday and eating far too much. Now it's boring looking at the weight. But anyway, at least I feel good. Of course, down in Devon, it's all fresh fish and crabs.
Don't worry about the weight.
Worry about the weight. Worry about it.
Yeah, because you eat what you like to eat. Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, I really think sometimes just doing what you want to do and what feels good for you to do is the thing that lifts you up. And lifting you up is as good as eating a sensible diet, I think. Yeah. Just get that balance always.
Yeah.
But I do think it's doing what makes you feel happy. So I think we always need to have something in our lives that puts the smile on our face.
Anne, sorry to butt in. Could you just show us those symbols again? I wasn't sure which ones they were.
Absolutely. Right, so we've got the solar logos, which is
Yes.
So it's a powerful one for strength, but it's particularly for inner strength, and it dissolves the fears in our solar plexus. It's also very good for personal empowerment. So if you're feeling a bit loss of confidence and feel a bit wobbly in that sense, this is the symbol for that. It's the most powerful energy of the sun, of course, and the sun makes things revitalize, and I just see that very much so with the solar logos. And because our fears are kept in our solar plexus area, that's where we push our fears down. That's why, and because we push our fears down and suppress our emotions, that's why we so often have stomach problems and bowel problems when we have stress, when we're holding back the things that we really ought to be sharing and getting out there. And of course, when you've got families around you, you can't just always say what you feel about the way they're treating you or the way they're behaving around you. You'd like to. So, rather than just pushing it down, you need to get it out in some way. Maybe you go and see a dear friend and just go out and rant, or you go out into the woods and have a shout. And the most important thing to stop that sort of family stress, I think, is to cut the cord, stand back and say, I love them, but I can't fix them. I love them, but I cannot allow myself to be dragged down by them. I love them, but I have to accept who they are and what they are. And I can't change their lives, and I can't make them change any of their habits. I just can't. I have to cut and stand back. And that is the most effective thing to do. It's a self-preservation, but it's also the thing that's most likely to get any change to occur, if there's going to be any change. There's a dynamic changes when you're stopping the resistance. The more you push, the more the resistance will push back, even though they don't know they're doing it. It's it goes on all the time. This push-pull in dynamics
Yeah.
in relationships, and the more you try to enforce your ideas on them, the more they will resist it. So the only thing you can do is to step back,
Yeah.
cut the cords, and just say, well, that's how they are. I mean, we've all got situations in families which are not exactly what we'd like them to be, and I guess most of your clients will have the same problem as well, that it'll 9 times out of 10 it comes down to a relationship, and very often it's family, and the expectation of your family to be something they're not. They're not you. They're not made up the way you are. They may be here on a completely different path to you. It's not for you to judge it. It's you've got to live with it though, and therefore you've got to find a way to live with it by cutting back, stepping back, and just pull out all your patience and tolerance.
Yeah.
And if it's really bad, put them in a nice box somewhere. I've got that field there, nice field. You can send.
And it's also what happens when because we're all kind-hearted people, and sometimes it's not just family, it could be just friends and people.
Okay.
People ask us, and next minute I'm helping people, and I'm in their drama, and
Yeah.
I'm getting, and I'm like, oh God, and I can feel. So what I do is the Buddhist concept. It's staying detached. You're with them, but you're not in their
Exactly.
stuff.
Perfect.
So you're with them, facilitating, helping, and it's a balance.
Perfect.
Because we want to help, but at the same time we're getting, and then we're not doing. We get caught. Yeah. So.
Well, that's one of the other reasons why distance healing is good, because you can send the vibes to them to make them stronger. I mean, of course, it's up to them whether they accept it or not. So that's the one, Siobhan, which is it's great for personal power. If you're feeling lack of confidence and you're unsure of yourself, and that's a good symbol to use for yourself or your client. And the other one is very much that masculine strength, and I will be okay. I will get through this. Nothing's going to knock me off my perch. And it's one you need quite a lot for people at the moment who are struggling. I mean, this week I had a girlfriend of mine who discovered she got cancer. It's in the lymph nodes. She's got a disabled daughter and a brother. A brother caught COVID, had to wait 6 hours. You talk about governments letting you down.
Yeah.
He couldn't get the medication he needed for his COVID until he'd had a certain type of test. He had a flow test and it proved that he had it, but his medical aid, which is the medical insurance in South Africa, wouldn't pay him out till he'd had this other test. There was such a demand for it, he had to wait 6 hours, stand in the cold for 6 hours till he could get a test that allowed him to get his medication. Then he went home, and the next day he had pneumonia. And then the next day he was in hospital. So she was worrying herself sick about him, and then his wife had it, so nobody could visit, nobody could help them. So she was getting herself into a terrible state. And then the cap it all, her disabled daughter looked like she might have got COVID in the care home she's in. And unfortunately, a test that the head of the care home and one of the other senior nurses was given the wrong result for their tests. So by the time they found out, they'd been around the care home for 24 hours, and then half the residents are now going down with COVID. And so this is my friend now. She can't get to her daughter. She's worried about her brother who's in ICU, and she's just found out she's got cancer. I mean, that's the sort of thing that she needs strength. She needs strength. Apart from healing, she needs strength. So this is the strength that you send in a case like that. It's not about self-worth and confidence. It's about, the oomph to be able to keep going and not crumble. Bless her. So she gets lots of healing at the moment. And she's on I sent her name out on the list. So So it should be on the list. So those are the two symbols really that help, I think, the most when people are struggling. I think almost, I was just saying, I think strength something you just automatically want to send to people whenever they're suffering from any illness, because that takes a sort of an inner strength to fight an illness. Or any problem that's going on in their life. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So anybody got anything they want to share or any questions?
But sorry, Mr. Chair, I think I'll just start this quite quickly. After your last, no, it wasn't the last question and answers, it was after the workshop on life's purpose and everything.
Oh, yeah,
That was it. And then that was more. And in the afternoon, I had some friends who started another little webinar, like-minded friends, and they said, "Come and join us, Steve." So I was doing that a couple of hours later, and they were going to give a talk on, I don't know, tuning forks or something sort of thing. Anyway, Steve, they said, "Come and join and everything," and they're going around. And I came in a bit late as usual. Anyway, they said, "Steve, I'll choose an angel card," and that. So they were giving people a little taste at the beginning. So I said, "Oh, okay then." So she was shuffling online, and she said, "Well, so stay, stop, Steve." "Oh, okay, all right, stop." So she pulled it out, and it was right, just what you was finishing off with this morning. It was Archangel Michael, saying, giving me strength, empowerment. What was the word? With the sword for protection and procrastination. Which
Oh, that's brilliant.
as you know me, I've been stuck for the last several, in my own, I use the word stuck, or, it's that sort of, and it was like, you're a light worker, you need to do it right now.
Wow.
I'm getting angry. I'm getting angry. Right now, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, and then that was it, and then it went on to someone else. But what was also interesting, Anne, as I told you about electrics, my smoke detector in my hallway was bleeping while he was giving this about 2 minutes, and I'm thinking, oh God, the battery's gone on my smoke detector. And I kept hearing it bleep, bleep, and then when we finished, it stopped, and that was so. As you know, electric things, it's like letting you know.
Yeah, spirit can move the electricity.
They do, yeah, electric. I've had it with my hub thing, when Sasha done a thing a little while ago, my hub went, my blue light, my hub just went out and then it came back again. And I've had this before, doorbells and things,
Yeah.
Anyway, Anne, but I won't have to take up time, but it was the bit. So you can see what's going on the unseen.
Well, the other thing that comes to mind is, this business distance healing. You can do an awful lot of energy work without actually having to go out there in the world. And it might suit you to do that. It'll get the energies moving. It'll get things moving for you.
That's a good book, because I'm thinking, because you said right now, like now to go, and I thought, well, we're still sort of like in a sort of lockdown. I can't, apart from going out shopping and things, where can I go? And I think, well, what can I, I'm thinking, well, I'm still, here we are.
So it's healing, Steve. Brilliant.
But I'm still putting me, and still, as you know, still inquiring and
Oh,
going
yeah. Well, carry on with all that, but that isn't your life purpose, is it? Because it's not a doing thing; it's a learning.
No, it's just collecting things, but it needs to be out there in the world. But it's
start off by sending out the energies, and then see where it takes you.
That's it, and it's the timing when it's appropriate and everything. So anyway, I thought I'd just share that.
Thank you. We had somebody else come back with something from that workshop. I can't remember what it was. Somebody had an immediate response. Was it you, Azida? Oh, no, I don't think you were on that one.
Oh.
I had it was almost a miraculous situation like that. I can't remember what it was now. Oh dear. It wasn't my brain that was being sorted, that's for sure. We were talking about life purpose and being connected, keeping yourself fully connected to your higher self, so that you get the messages about what you want. And the final thing very much is ask your heart, like Sergio's talk. He did a very good talk, for Conscious Cafe, and it's very much around just ask your heart what you want to do, and from asking the heart, I know it was one of our support group. I'm part of 2 support groups for setting intentions, and not sure what they wanted to do, and I said, well, ask your heart, and immediately the answer came straight back. And for me too, when I was doing that workshop, I asked everybody to go into their heart and just straight put your hand there, put your protection on, ask your heart, what is it you want to do? And I got write musicals. So I thought, oh, really? Oh, thank you. So I'm planning next year, whatever happens to this one, I want to do some more of that, write more songs. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so what am I to argue? That's what the heart wants.
I do remember on that one, Steve, Anne saying something about procrastination. So that's just brilliant that you got that straight away.
It was in the message. It was protection, and it was a sort of Archangel Michael, where Anne's, it was literally a couple of hours after with Anne. It's like midday we finished. 2 hours later, I was doing it, and it was like, I mean, well, it was like, get the message, Steve.
Quite
it's not
quite
just
quickly as well. Yeah. No messing about.
Well, that was it. Straight to the point. And that. So it's it. But
that's brilliant.
That's what I thought I'd just share with you folks about.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, but it's true. When you want a sign, it will come, because I think on that session on life purpose, I was thinking about food and something that's food related, and then last week someone came up to me and said, can you help me to do a food exhibition for China? And then suddenly I went like, oh, okay. So it's, these are the things, and I think it's really important that you do things without suffering. We can do so many. I mean, I find that I can do so many things, but some of the things that I've done comes with a lot of problems and suffering as well. So that's something that we shouldn't.
Big negotiations.
Shouldn't go through life.
Yes. Negotiations with not very nice people. Not
exactly.
For long.
Yeah. No. And I want just to add about the solar logo symbol. I've used it in the morning outdoors, and I find that the sun's ray, it comes to me directly. So it does attract the ray of the sun, and it revitalizes you. Yeah.
On that note, I tend to see stuff if I can see sunbeams coming through. I tend to see messages for people within those actual sunbeams.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. So it helps if I'm doing some healing for somebody and the sun's shining through, or reflection anywhere. I think it's your third eye, isn't it? Kind of, it's almost doing, if there's anything shiny or anything, but the combination of like the actual sunbeams and then a reflection on glass maybe, seems to work quite well for me. But I was also going to say on the life purpose thing, and because I had a session with you just shortly before that, a session that we did with the life purpose, and I was a bit of a mess, wasn't I? And you recommended me to take a little bit of time out, so we did that, and it's quite interesting because just in the just being calm and being outdoors in nature, I just got some ideas for combination of artwork and healing things come through, and then it answered your life purpose question for the session before I'd arrived at the session. So it was quite good because I'd actually thought a little bit about it before and had a little bit of time, and I hadn't had any time up to that point. So it just, because I think I'd been saying to you, I might like to do some oracle cards or something similar. Yeah, my friend said to me, oh, why don't you just use some images you've already got, or you know, so not to. I think my big challenge was having to do something vastly different if I was then moving into the healing. So I think they was really saying, like, do it gently and in small increments, so I can do it closer to what I'm already doing, so I don't have to make a massive jump, because I think the fear was the leap into maybe because really I would like to do some angel-based tarot cards, but there's a lot of things out there, but I want to do something completely different. And obviously tarots there's a lot of cards, so it feels like, to me, the weight of it was good, because I used to do a lot of children's books, so it feels like doing a children's book, and I know how long, you know, that can take you, half a year at least, even if you're doing it quickly. So yeah, that was the challenge, the kind of worry, time factor, really, but I sort of got a little bit of a different perspective on it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, yes, because you've already done so many beautiful characters and the pictures. Don't you do fairies? Is it fairies?
Yes.
Fairy cards would be lovely, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would actually.
Not so many people out there doing fairy cards, and there's something absolutely magical about the fairies.
Yeah, I was shortlisted for something for those characters, but I haven't taken them any further. I was actually just thinking the last couple of days, I wouldn't mind to maybe rework them. But yeah,
I mean, they could be the same 4 characters doing slightly different things. It doesn't have to, each card doesn't have to be wildly different from the previous one, does it?
No. Yeah.
And interesting, there's a lady in Malaysia who was a really good artist there. She's passed away now. Renee Kroll. I don't know whether you heard of Renee Kroll, Azida. She was quite a well-known artist, very much a spiritual artist. Including her, she combined her spiritual beliefs and her art to create. And in fact, she did the picture on the front of the blue and the pink CDs, which probably don't see so much, but on the CD cover. And what she did was a whole series of paintings, because she'd have an exhibition every year and her paintings would go into exhibition. She incorporated the symbols into her paintings.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, and they did very well, and the energy was fantastic that came through them. So that was something from an art, combining things without having to go and do lots and lots of extra work. I mean, I'd love to see your take on the symbols with your soft touch, because you're such a gentle, soft energy that you put into your work. I don't know whether you guys have seen Siobhan's work. Have you got anything there to show them?
I've got a little watercolour. It's like that's a little angel one. From it was basically a round willow pattern.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did a whole project on it, but that was my one that's more on the spiritual front. And yeah, I was collecting ephemera kind of images that were for healing. You know, a lot of countries have like little either hearts or like legs or feet to send healing to that person. I think it's Catholic actually. Yeah, I was just collecting images around that, because I quite like the idea of all these little, you know, actual things that are like little legs, hearts. So it's kind of putting the intention into an actual object. It's votive imagery. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Little cat one.
very typically you, that is. That is typically your work. So they're very gentle and very soft. And what's so lovely about it, and this is the thing I'm realizing, you're putting your energies into your work, and then it doesn't really matter what you're doing because the energy goes into it.
Right, yes.
And if you were to even just put a little symbol in, just a little one in the corner, somewhere like that, that reinforces it even more. So then you've got that that lovely thing that you're doing your work your way, and I think that that's what we need to be doing. I think we need to find the the passageway, the energy stream that works for us in the role that we want to be in, doing the thing we love to do, and let that take, that's our healing work. Or that's our life purpose. You know, it's not all about healing, of course, it's your life purpose. So, but I think the most important thing is to make it your own. Not to feel that you've got to clone yourself on somebody else's ideas or what everybody else does. I mean, somebody who does cooking and makes, I mean, one of the things I notice a lot these days is lots of local produce being put together. You know, there's homemade ice creams in Dartmouth, there's the shop making it. And I spoke to the lady and she says, we absolutely love what we do. We do it with such pleasure. And she said it's a huge business, but we supply, I don't know, got about 20 or 30 outlets which they supply the ice cream to. So it's a nice little business, but it's just their business and it's their love that goes into it. So what could be better than that?
I think with food, sorry to interrupt, I think with food you can taste the love if it's made with love, but you can also, if stuff's made with anger, you could like get stomachache, or so that's going to ripple out, isn't it, to their business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as eaters into food, I mean, you could always put a symbol on the packaging somewhere. It doesn't have to be gold.
I think, Siobhan, why don't you think of this? I mean, I thought about, it sort of came to me. I think the symbols have, you can relate it to nature, and with that, maybe it can be a plant or a flower or anything, or even an insect or an animal. And as you paint that, you put the energy of it into your painting, and I think anyone who buys will be able to just get that energy, receive that energy. So
that would be lovely. And I'm really interested in flowers and different healing properties and symbols and associations with flowers as well. So maybe something like that.
You can actually do that online, and I think this is not just about it's not something commercial, but something that comes from the heart, and you help people that way. It's very calming, and
But just for you, when you were saying about the food, I'm always branding my stuff and everything, but you could have something like a little logo that was cooked with love or made with love or something like that. So nice,
put that. Okay.
A nice logo.
Well, I think you're into branding, so I think she could make a good job of that. And I mean, that's the point, isn't it? And people are open to those words now. Once upon a time, but they definitely are now. It's just.
I was just to say regarding plants and life, nature, and everything. I mean, it's like the concept of, have you heard of panpsychism? Pantheism. Basically, everything has consciousness.
Okay. Right.
Everything. it's not a new agey thing. It's just sort of certain concepts. But everything is so with plants. Everything has got, and it's also what you talk about like laws of attraction. So if you put your in intention with things, everything has got the essence of something going on. And it's like, I mean, the chap who got the New Thought movement was a chap called Thomas Troward, who called the laws of attracting. Everything is manifesting, and even natures, we look at it, the sky, it's a relationship, everything's interacting. And because we're so caught in the modern world, we're getting a bit amnesia to it all, sort of thing. But it's always going on. And so with plants and then, you know, it's like looking at flowers and things. It's resonating. You know, it's not communicating. So, hello, Steve, I'm a nice flower, sort of thing, but it's talking on a certain level, a very subtle level.
I agree with that totally, and I think that's why going into nature is affecting our consciousness, but not necessarily for us to know what's going on. Today, I was walking out with Tony, and I suddenly stopped there in front of me, and I put it up on my Facebook actually, was this beautiful wild rose. Now, the wild rose, that reminds me of Siobhan, because it's a gentle rose. I mean, I've got loads of roses in my garden. I absolutely love roses. But the wild rose has a gentleness about it and a subtlety about it that really hit my heart today. And I just looked at that and I thought, I've got to take a photo of that. It's just, I want that with me. I want to carry that imagery with me. And they're the sweetest things, wild roses. I don't know whether...
Are they a bit smaller? A bit smaller than...
Small and very simple. Yeah. I've got a picture of it here. I don't suppose I can show you. Welcome to our friends in Japan. Welcome, welcome. Nice to have you on board. Nice you. Hi, Toshia. Hi, you.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
And that's also, Anne, I think also what's happening, you know, we talk about, oh, go and show you. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, just show you that. That's a wild rose, and it's very delicate and very, very sweet. It's got the yellow in the middle, and it's just, I don't know, it's just something about it.
Oh, is it sort of like a dog rose with the yellow in the middle? Yeah, very pretty. Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I know the ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So, absolutely get what you're saying, Steve, about...
No, so I was just going to share regarding, this is also the part of the shift of consciousness. You know, we call the concept, it's like sort of the different period, the Piscean age and New Aquarian age and things. Because we're recognising that we are part of nature and what we've been doing, the damage, the pollution, all the rest of it. Now we've, you know, youngsters have got it, they can see we've got the environment, because this is all part of what some people say, the divine feminine part of us, because we've been so masculine, you know, we build and we conquer and all the rest of it, and empire building and all the rest of it. The last few thousand years, whereas say 4,000 years ago, we were connected to nature. We were part of, they knew things, and we were more connected and more, and also our psychic faculties are more tuned in. But over time, we've sort of like, they've gone dormant, and we're so busy consuming. Now, nature's always there, and we've got to realise we've got to do something. So this is what the shift. So this is why when you was talking and about, you really felt with the rose and really felt the sun, because this is what's there all the time, but we get obscured.
Well, that's right. That's right. And that's why it's important, I think, to just get yourself out there. Take time, you know, taking time out. One of the things I loved about being in Devon is we just sit there and we just watch the water. I mean, we don't do anything sometimes. Everybody comes there, they just get wrapped up in this is their home in Devon. You know, it's got a river flowing past there. So you just sit and watch the eddy of the water. It just does something to you. There's no doubt about it, like a lake, like the picture that Toshia has put up, that's calming. There's no two ways about it. It just makes you feel, I'm calm. Cool, I should say. Oh.
It's communicating, isn't it? It's communicating back to us. you know, you just see it. It's the colour, the blue, the green, the different.
Absolutely.
It's
Vibrations all the time around us,
that's it.
working with us all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think going back to this, we were talking, you and Tocho, if you can hear us, is talking about our life purpose and doing what feels absolutely right for you and combining your skills into your spiritual intentions, really. So that's why we were talking with Siobhan, her art. She wants to sort of bring the two sides of her life together, really, and channel, but not to do it in a heavy, hard, difficult way. Do it in a relaxed and natural way. Oh, Toshi is just saying hi, welcome. Good. Okay, welcome, Toshio. Good to have you with us. This is recorded. You will get a recording, so you can perhaps do some translating afterwards. We haven't quite got to the point where as we speak, we get a translation yet, but that'll put you out of work, wouldn't it, you? You'd lose your job if it was automatic translation all the time. So I think when I wrote the words for songs to Artaban, I really experienced this. The whole idea of writing a musical was a fun and a jolly thing to do and be with friends and do it. But when it came to writing the words of the songs, there were my feelings about life. It filtered into the storyline. It couldn't not. So when I was now told what you really want to do is to write musicals or write songs, then that feels quite right in a way, because it's a way of me combining what I feel and my message, if you like, through song rather than through the other ways I've been doing it. I'm not going to say I'm going to give everything up and just go off and write songs that nobody's going to listen to. I'm just going to do what feels right about that and let that follow naturally. And we were saying here that, and Toshio, that the best thing to do is ask your heart what it wants. What does your heart want you to do? And you can just put your hand on your heart and then focus on your heart center and then think, what do I really want to do with my life? Or what do I really want to do next week? Or what of these choices and things I can do, which is the one that my heart wants me to do? You get an honest response from your heart, because your heart is connected to your higher self. So your real you is in your heart. It's right in the very core of your heart center. In the heart sphere, right at the center, is the real you. Good. So, have you got anything you want to ask us? Anything you want to share?
Thank you. I just wanted to share my own experience I just had 10 minutes ago before I came in, and it's about relationships in general. And I was working with this friend today, and me as an interpreter for the event we are doing together. And then I was doing my part very hard, but I didn't do much preparation for the event, so I was nervous from the beginning. I was anxious about myself, if I can do it good or not. And then my friend was in that kind of the same situation. So basically, my question or how I can deal with this by myself is that I don't know how to explain this, but probably I had some expectations from my friend that after we did the event, I just wanted to hear I did good, whatever that was. But in a way, probably he wanted to make things better, so he kind of told me the fact where we can improve ourselves for the next time. But I was not kind of in that state to listening to that kind of logical information. I was just more wanted to have more emotional level kind of connection or acknowledgement. And so in a way I felt not satisfied in the end. And then even I started thinking, oh, maybe I cannot work with him anymore. That kind of thoughts are happening. And so my question is that I'm looking at these cards and how I can work with myself in that kind of situation. Maybe I just can release some my emotions. Then I felt, I don't know, confused or some
Yeah.
not hard, but that kind of feelings, or
Well, it's,
how you
releasing would be good from the attachment to the expectation of the response from him. But also, just to give yourself a bit of slack here, as we would say in English, a little bit of comfort, that when anybody ever criticizes or points out the way things could be improved, which is a polite way of criticizing, isn't it? You're bound to feel bang to start with, and it's happened to you just a few moments ago, and your immediate reaction was, I'm not sure I want to work with him anymore. It's quite natural. I mean, I wouldn't beat yourself up about that. That is a very, very natural reaction for humans. We are always wanting to strive for approval. It's a pain. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't have to do it, but we all do. We all want approval. The thing that matters, though, is how you step on to the next step from that. And your first thoughts are the right ones, to step back from it. Step back. Look, he's in it making money, so he's looking at it from a commercial perspective as well. He doesn't feel that his job is to make you feel good about yourself. His job is to make this a success. So it's because that's I know of him through you. That's his number one priority. His number one priority is to get this sorted and get it right, and then we move on from there. Your first reaction was, I want to be felt that I did a good job. So you definitely need to let go your need for approval. Step back. Then you can use the symbols that we were looking at today, actually, which are the two strength cards. Both these symbols are for strength. And that's what you need when you've just been pushed off your balance a little bit by someone criticizing you. One is strength and one is universal energy power, which is like the personal power. Those two would be good for you to work with. I just want to share something with you because it's very poignant, because I've shared with everybody last time, I think, was I was doing a workshop for the heart spheres, which actually Toshio was part of. First time I've done this workshop, and I think I shared that I was getting myself into a bit of a tizzy about it. I was getting nervous about it because it was a lot more teaching, because the whole concept with heart spheres is to get the client to be 100% involved in everything you do. So rather than the sending out the healing that we do with the symbols, this is, I mean, you can do a combination of this, but with heart spheres, the whole way I'm teaching is that you connect your client to their higher self, you connect to your higher self, and then you go through a process of including everything involving the client. So the client, that means, and this is the thing, that when you're looking at 12, I think it's 12 different spheres, which are the 12 different aspects of your life that the heart deals with, there's a lot of information to be done there, to be taught, because there's a lot of guidance to be given as to the sort of ways you can get your client involved in their healing. And a lot of it is things that they can say. So you say, I am releasing my attachment to whatever it is. And you get the client to say it. So you have your words to use. the client has their words to use, which they copy from you, and then you can actually feel the client feeling, yeah, I'm doing this myself. It's like when you release vows, you get the client to say, I release all my vows that no longer help me. That makes the client stronger. So the healing is stronger. Plus you're bringing in healing energy, and you're making the dominion words, the words of dominion, which are the authority that we have when we say things out loud, the reverberation of our words coming into the healing too. So you've got the clients, you've got yours, you've got 12 different situations of relationships, with your relationship with your parents, with your children, with God, with money, with sex, with partners. All of these are the spheres. But then each of those has a multitude of different situations that could occur. And I want to give guidance to the students of, you know, if in partnership with parents, the sort of reasons why they may fail in their relationship and why things might go wrong and what you can do. So it's a huge amount of work. Plus, and I've got 6 steps that they use on in every sphere, and then all these extras. So I had a lot to explain. So after 2 modules, I was running like way behind the schedule of what I said I would be doing. I thought it would be okay because I knew that as I went further down the line, a lot of things would be repeats. So you do exactly the same thing as you did in that sphere. You do exactly, and I kept, and I knew it would be okay, but I was worried. And then I got a letter from Voice, the people that are running it, saying that they were very worried that this was going to run over, there wasn't going to be enough time, and I shouldn't allow the clients to give complex questions, because if they give too many questions, we were going to run right out of time, and then everybody would be angry because they didn't finish the course. And I got this letter, and I thought, just like you. Then I sat down and I thought, okay, cut, because we do a lot of that in this workshop. Cut, release. I'm going to be calm about this. I'm going to put the positive energies into it. I listened to what she said, and I thought, I'm going to follow her advice. Keep the questions simple and answer some of the questions before they even come up, sort of thing. And you know what? Once I'd let go, I mean, I had something like 7 spheres to do in the last session. 7. And out of 12, still had to do in that last session. It's all going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. I modified my show, my PowerPoint, and be fine. It's going to be fine. Cut to anxiety. Cut. Let it go. I finished that workshop with 20 minutes for questions, which we filled up. I finished it exactly on the dot. Exactly. And she did write to me. She said, I cannot believe you did manage to finish. Thank you very, very much. And I thought, yeah, that's because I did detach from it. I did allow myself to get emotional after. I did start with you, Sam. I was really emotional when I got the first letter. And then I thought, this is advice. I'm going to follow it. I'm also going to do what I know I'm going to do what I want to do. And it'll be fine. And of course, once I'd allowed myself to get rid of the worry of being approved, I thought, well, it'll either work or it won't work. And of course it did. It worked exactly right. So I just wanted to share that with you. We all get upset when we're criticised. It's quite a human, natural thing to be criticised. And you will get clients who say, it's not working. You know, that doesn't make any difference to me what you've just done. You're going to get that from time to time. But remember, it's always a two-way thing with healing. You know, you can put as much healing as you like towards somebody, but if they're not ready for it, they're not going to change. That's why I like heart spheres, because it really makes the client come in involved with it. I will put this workshop out in English next year probably, or towards the end of this year, if you're interested in it. It's a different approach. You can use any combination then with what you learn from me and the other things you learn yourself. But just detach from that need to be approved, get approval. You're not always going to get it with that gentleman, because you're always going to be looking for getting the success of the courses first.
I see.
And he was probably criticizing himself as much as he was you.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Was he not also finding ways to improve what he did? To improve what he did as much as it was to tell you to improve what you did.
Yeah.
You're doing fine.
Thank you very much.
So, has anybody got anything else they want to share? Or yes?
Oh, thank you, Steve. I've had a question for a while in relation to when you're working with people, and it's when you've tuned in, and I noticed that you're brilliant at just chatting to people throughout the session. How do you sort of manage to retain in your, like, completely in your connection when you're engaging with somebody that might have something really heavy going on energy wise? And I find that if I'm doing I tend to like do the introduction to the healing with some angel cards and whatever may have come through before for them. But I mean, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but it's just at the stage that I'm at, I tend to say, can we do the chat after, because I'm getting everything through for them, and then we engage afterwards. I find it quite tricky because sometimes people are coming to me with quite heavy energy and heavy situations. So if I engage early on in the session, I find that tricky. I find it blocks a bit of what's coming through for them.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, you're using your psychic powers a lot right up front, so you want to follow through with what you're picking up. Well, you don't have to do it my way. You do it the way that works for you, and if that works for you, just stick to that. What I do is I write things down, and that's how I hold that's how I work it, so that I'm looking for clues all the way through and confirmations. And at the first stage, I'm just putting down clues, if you like. I feel a vibration, I just make a note of it. I don't allow myself to go into it, but I have a note of it. And then when I do go into that sort of trancey type stage of the healing, which you do at the beginning, when I do it towards the end, I feel I've got the whole picture, because sometimes other things come up.
Yeah.
And then I allow it to go where I need to go. But I've got my pointers written down, so I say, well, that what I might have picked up, the fact there was some heavy energy in the throat when I was doing the initial little check of a person. Oh, I must need to check it. And then something they said about karma with the mother. I'll just keep pushing that. But you know what, sweetheart? Do what works for you. Because you work on a very psychic level, and you're getting messages and things coming through. I'm encouraging my clients to give me those clues as much as anything, and then I go in, and then I see what I see and whatever I feel. But
yes,
do it your way. Don't feel it has to be any other way. And then afterwards, you mop up anything that you haven't.
Yes.
So that's fine. Just do it.
Yes. Yes.
Stick to your way. You know, when I teach the spheres, what I'm I'm encouraging people to do is to ask questions of the client and get the client to start questioning themselves about what might be the cause of their problem. And also, I want the client to take responsibility for their problem. So ownership of it, which is the approach I'm taking, and which is really a mixture of what I do. The symbols I do, and then the spheres is a combination of what I do in a healing session. I don't mention spheres in my healing sessions, but the things I do, I do the work anyway. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe the work gets done anyway, whichever way round it happens.
It does. It's just stick to what feels good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just kind of retaining that like really strong connection when people are bringing quite heavy stories into the dynamic. So
that it works, and stick with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Especially if it works, don't break it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to go now. I will watch the recording later. Sorry about this.
Okay,
Thank you for having me.
Go
Bye.
Have a
on.
wonderful day.
Be
Bye.
strong. Be strong.
Thank you.
Bye, darling. Bye-bye. So, Steve, did you have something you wanted to say?
I think what I've been over the years, and with your good work, what I mean, all right, in a nutshell, basically, our higher self, it's like, because I'm looking at consciousness, for example, when a lot of people have NDE experiences, a good percentage experience pure unconditional love. And I think they go into another state. Their consciousness goes somewhere into another state. But they feel it, not just in the heart, they feel it. You know, we get whoosh feelings, or they feel it. Feel like they're covered in pure unconditional love. And I feel this is what I feel, because we're human, we've got our busy worlds, and we're putting things in this and put that. But when we go into like our higher self is, and the heart should express what's really going, and that's why I feel with channeling healing, because it's just pure unconditional. We don't analyze or think about it. We just go with the flow with it.
Well, that's one of the advantages of doing distance healing, because you're just a pure channel, and there's no discussion that will distract from that. And I think that style of healing obviously suits you really well. Now, and that is as good a way. I mean, that's how Sally does it, and it's perfect. What I've established from that works well for my clients and me is a sort of a mix of counselling and healing.
Oh.
So what I'm actually doing isn't just straight energy transfer. It's getting their conscious mind to engage with their subconscious mind, and take some level of responsibility for the healing themselves. So it's just another approach. And all of them work. You know,
they're all coming from another. I mean,
but my point is, you do what works for you and works for your clients.
Well, hopefully, I mean, when the lockdown finishes, hopefully, I'm going to be going out talking to people, communities, and people talking to people, and I'm just going to just communicate.
Brilliant.
And that's it. But at the moment, we are where we are. But the thing is, what I'm getting at is we're part of this awesome intelligence part of it. And this is why I often say, I'll leave this note, I often say, this has got to be done. It's not just it's my being. It's the real, it's got to be, it's got, you know, it's not just me just saying, oh, it's got to be done. Like, I've got to do housework. Yeah, it's got to be done. This is what's got to be done, because it needs to be out there in the world.
Absolutely. You might like to think that one of the best ways to get the message across to people is through stories.
Yeah.
Stories. I tend to use stories of things that have happened to me, but there's all sorts of different stories you can tell, which is another way of getting the message across.
That's it.
So there's everybody's got their own way. I mean, Siobhan's doing her art. Looks like Azina's going to be cooking up a storm and doing it through her food as well as everything else she does.
Yes, I agree. And stories or metaphors, something so people
That's good.
can
Yeah.
get it. You know, rather than just read it that way. You get it, you feel it.
Yeah.
Not with music.
Experiencing it as
And
well.
with music, you know, it fills us through.
Well, that's what I'm working with now, words and music. But let's see how that goes. Yeah. All right, guys. If there's anything else, is there anything else you'd like to share before we go, or questions you want to ask?
You made a note on the 23rd, 24th November.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm seeing you there. I'll be asking her why not. Yeah. Now the next session, 24th of July. Would that be good for everybody?
Should be alright.
24th of July.
Okay.
I'll try and remember to send out my reminders to the members a bit earlier. I think I've caught them a bit on the hop today. 24th of July, and anything you want me to discuss beforehand, you can always send it through, and I'll just keep it in the file. I've got a file down here, excuse me, where I keep the Q&As. And did we share your lovely meditation, Rita? I don't think I did.
Was that it?
I didn't share that lovely meditation that you wrote.
You got it. Yeah, you sent it to me in a nice sheet of paper with a heart shape.
Send it on to the members group, for the members group, yeah.
Yeah.
So any experiences you get, anybody who's listening to this afterwards, any experiences you get that you want to share, we're always interested in what you've done and what's happened for you, and gives us ideas and gives us confidence as well. So thank you. Thank you for coming live today. Thank you for those of you coming later. Bless you. Bless you for your input.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Anne.
you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.